she's back. And some of you probably said, oh, maybe she won't come back. The sister of sorrow and suffering. No, you're only halfway through this book. Light. Hallelujah. There you go, Vic, for you. I did cut you all a little bit of slack over the weekend. No Saturdays and Sundays. So give moi a couple of extra minutes. Of course, you can always tune in and tune out and do whatever you want. You know, I've been blessed. I've always been blessed with a great imagination. In fact, all through grammar school, high school, college, and into my senior years, when someone is needed to have an excuse or a story made up, that was it. I'm good at this. But there's certain stories you just don't make up, all right? You don't make up stories about people going through suffering, sorrow, loss, grief. You don't make up those kind of stories. That's why when I started off with this, I said to you, this is my story, all right? This is my story, my personal journey committed to love. I could only put so much into a book in 24 chapters that were where I was coming from as I wrote my documentary out. But if you want to know more about me and my life with Jeffrey, if you want to know, hi children, hi kids, anyway, if you want to know more about my life with Jeff, the issues with Jeff, everything else, I put them into this book, And I Held Their Hands with a Hospice Heart. That's why both books were meant to be a companion book. I could not be doing this now. This is not where my head is, but I was there then. And then, yes, I have a gift to lighten this stuff up. Do you think I could read these stories and read this to you all the time and not smile or make a little sense of humor out of it or throw my own head and laughter into it? No. I'm not joking about the seriousness of my subject matter, but I'm not also going to make it that I'd want to slip my wrists if I read 24 stories like this. But I'm telling you now, folks, if you want to know more about my life with Jeff, they're not just in my story. They're in the lives of 24 other people. And I just want to say thank you again. Some of you have gotten very caught up with me because I did go back through Facebook. And yeah, I wish I'd gotten the hundreds I got in school that I got viewing. I would have gotten into Harvard magna cum laude instead of a community college that I still almost got kicked out of. But it was a great school. So, thank you all for listening. I'm not going to rush. Can't rush with these people's lives. Can't do it. Their lives are being honored. But to know Jeff and my relationship and to see a movie made, a series made, all of this put right, you have to have both books in your heart. And this one's powerful, so I will tell you right now. Get out the tissues, folks. This one's going to get messy. Because right off the bat, you are going to relate. Some of you have been there, done that like I did. Some of you are going to go through this. Some of you are going to say, oh, I'm so glad this woman wrote about it because I'm dealing with it. I promise you, every story here is something that you're going to know someone you're going to go through, a family member's going to go through. But this issue transcends a lot because I felt it, this woman felt it, and everybody else who I know is going through a long-term illness has felt it. Hi, Lisa. Hi. I'm afraid to touch the screen. Anyway, this one is chapter 12 in And I Held Their Hands with a Hospice Heart. This is the story of a wife who feels like she is starving her husband to death. Well, that one right off the bat should lose some of you. A wife who feels like she is starving her husband to death, but he doesn't have the strength, energy, or the appetite to eat. All right? That is the issue. There's nothing you can do about that. Long-term end stage, you cannot force somebody to eat when they don't have the strength. So let's clarify it right off the bat. A wife who feels like she's starving her husband to death, but he doesn't have the strength, energy, or appetite to eat. It's the truth. Quote, once you live to eat, now you eat to survive. Once you eat to live, you lived to eat. It was part of our life. We loved it. I mean, we ate everywhere around the world in the best foods. And I was a great cook. I mean, now you eat to survive. Yep, end quote. So the first part of this book is about Jeff and I, and you'll learn again, you'll keep learning more about my relationship and the intensity and the passion and the love. So the first part of this chapter is about us, Jeff and myself. Then the story, the second part is the story with the woman I met at hospice. May 1999, dear Jeff. I'll be 53 years old tomorrow, May 4th. My birthdays have never been the same since you died, and I don't care very much about them anymore. Tomorrow was supposed to be a special day that celebrated my birth. But for me, it's just another day that I won't be spending with you. Feel it? My birthdays were special because you made them that way. You took me to Hawaii 4 years in a row for my birthday. When I said that I wanted to do something different next year, you bought me a house instead. I went to Hawaii 4 years in a row. He says, what do you want for your birthday next year? I said, I don't want to go to Hawaii. It is beautiful. I've been to every island, but it's a very long trip, and there's no way now I could ever see. No. So the following year, he bought me a home. In fact, over the years, he bought me 2 homes. See, here's where I got to make it light, because I remember, I've not read these stories ever, other than when I edited them 25 years ago. In fact, over the years, you bought me 2 homes, 2 cars, and the most beautiful and thoughtful presents I'd ever gotten. You think someone's going to come along and put up with this? Well, not so quick. I never celebrated a birthday again the way I did with you. Remember the surprise party you gave me for my 30th birthday? It was in 1975 when we built our first home in Houston. You didn't know any of our, quote, cul-de-sac neighbors, but you went around to every house on the block introducing yourself. You said that you wanted to invite them to my surprise birthday party. When everyone arrived, I didn't know a soul, and you couldn't remember their names or what houses they lived in. Talk about a surprise party. You were incredible, and the party was a huge success. Think about that. I remember the surprise party you gave me for my 30th birthday. It was in 1975 when we built our first home in Houston. You didn't know any of our, quote, cul-de-sac neighbors, but you went around every house on the block introducing yourself. You said that you wanted to invite them to my surprise birthday party. When everyone arrived, I didn't know a soul, and you couldn't remember their names or what houses they lived in. Talk about a surprise party. You were incredible, and the party was a huge success. Well, why not? Nobody knew each other. Everybody talked to each other back then. They didn't have this. People really talked to each other. What a blessing. Imagine going around to a party now and actually talking to somebody instead of carrying a phone and going into the bathroom and pretending you don't exist. I spent several birthdays alone because you were out of town. But you always had the card ready before you left. Called that day, sent additional cards, and brought me back a gift. We celebrated when you got home. You spoiled me with gifts of perfume, sunglasses, jewelry, and my favorite item, magnets. I did. I liked magnets wherever we went. I wanted magnets. My refrigerators and appliances were metal then too, were full. The only birthday I did not think about was the one before you died. But as with the other stories in this book, it was last night at the care center and a conversation I had with a woman that brought back those painful memories of May 4th, 1944, just a couple months before he was going to pass. The book was meant to bring back not only the good times, but some of the rougher ones. However, it had to be written, no matter how it pulled at my heartstrings. God wanted me to write. He never told me at birth what to write about, but he gave me an assignment to write. I just happened to write about life. It's not always pretty. The woman in this story shared with me her feelings of rejection, guilt, and the frustration she faced as she tried to get her dying husband to eat. Some of you are dealing with it right now, or you know family members who are. The image of my last birthday with you was as vivid now as it was 5 years ago, and now it was playing out between two strangers sharing a similar situation. The night of my birthday, you wanted to take me to our favorite Italian restaurant. We ordered dinner, and when the food came out, you were too tired and nauseous to eat. When we got home, you said that you would have a piece of birthday cake. I put a candle on your piece, and when I asked you to make a wish and blow it out, you couldn't. You didn't have the energy. You took a fork full of cake and threw it up an hour later. You were deathly ill on my last birthday and died 3 months later. Birthdays have never felt the same. Oh, how this woman got to me with her story, and what a frustrating issue many of you will have to face. Yeah, they'll be different, and I will just say to be on the hopeful side. Your birthdays and your anniversaries and your holidays and your special occasions, no, they won't be the same. They won't be the same with anybody in your loved ones past, your parents, siblings, your husband of so many years, a loved one. But they'll be different. You will go on. They will be just different. Emptiness, yeah. Some sadness, yeah. Some shed tears, yeah. Some pitying a little bit, sure. But you will get through them, but they'll be different. That's the word I will use. They'll be different. Now, we're at the care center. The night was warm, and it was still light outside when I got to the center. The late afternoon sun was shining through the white shutters in the hallway. There was a woman leaning against the wall, impeccably dressed. Oh, see, I can see her right now. There was a woman leaning against the wall, impeccably dressed, in a navy blue pinstripe suit. Wow. The gold buttons on her jacket twinkled like stars in the sky. As I passed by, she removed a pink handkerchief from underneath her watch and started to cry. I came over and said, quote, no quotes, get over this. Hello, my name is Susan. I'm the volunteer on tonight. If you need another handkerchief, I always carry an extra one in my pocketbook. They come in very handy around here. She smiled at me and said, my husband is not eating or drinking anything. How can he get better if he won't eat or drink? I want him to stay alive, but I feel like I'm letting him starve to death. What can I do? I feel guilty and helpless. Her sadness was heartbreaking. I said, I've heard that many times before. It's horrible to watch someone you love refuse to eat or unable to do so. There is nothing that compares to the feeling of helplessness when your loved one does not want to eat. Hello, Carson. Wow, new people every day. There is nothing that compares to the feeling of helplessness when your loved one does not want to eat. Your frustrations are overwhelming, and there's nothing that you can do about it. It's been a long and painful ordeal for your husband and for you. Always remember, in a situation, it's not the patient all the time that's requiring to have their needs met. And this happens so many times. The patient is getting the care. The caregiver is not being taken care of. And I stress this. I really stress this. As I've said through so many of my readings, you have to find the time to take care of yourself. You're no good to your loved one if you can't, and you'll only suffer more later on. I can't stop anymore because I'm going to finish this story. I asked her if she would like a cup of coffee. Thank God for the coffee at hospice. Yes, she said. All I do now is listen to him breathe. We got our coffee and sat down. She took out a fresh handkerchief from her purse and wiped her eyes. She said, "It's been a wonderful marriage for 51 years. We've got 3 great kids and 6 grandchildren. 2 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer. There wasn't much that the doctors could do for him. He tried several drugs and chemotherapy, and for a while he was improving, but his appetite continued to decrease, and he was losing weight. I begged him to eat. I made him everything he ever liked. It didn't matter what time of the day or night. If he said he wanted the littlest thing, I would have gotten it. But he kept wanting less and less. He just kept pushing the food away, saying he didn't want to eat. What could I do? I didn't want to argue about food anymore. About 6 months ago, everything took a turn for the worst. He lost a lot of weight and didn't have any energy, and he wanted to sleep all the time. Our doctor referred him to hospice. I said, "May I ask you something personal?" "Yes," she said. "When your husband told you that he didn't want to eat any longer, what did he say to you?" He said, "All you do is talk about food. Why don't you let me be? I don't want to eat or drink. Don't you know that I would eat if I could? Please stop trying to get me to eat." I would leave the room in tears. Was he giving up? Didn't he want to live? I only wanted to do something for him. I love him. I felt useless and helpless. He chose not to eat before, and now he is too weak to take a sip of water. It's harder than I ever imagined. Buckle up, folks. It might get really rough for some of you. Hi, Elaine. I said, "You gave your husband the greatest gift of all." Have I said this before in other chapters to people? You gave your husband, or it could have been your father or your mother, the greatest gift of all. You're a loving wife and a strong, courageous caregiver because you respected your husband's wishes. I felt the same way when my husband was ill. I tried everything to get his appetite to improve. I prayed that he would put on weight. In the beginning, his appetite did improve, and he regained his strength. But after 2 years of fighting the disease, the food portions continued to get smaller, and his weight dropped significantly. The time came when he didn't want to eat, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. It was part of the illness and the dying process. All I could do was watch and wait. I understand how frustrated and saddened you are. May I tell you what my husband said to me about 2 months before he died? He said, Jeffrey said to me, "Susan, I'm the patient and the only one who can understand what is happening to me." Think about that. He said, "Susan, I'm the patient and the only one who can understand what is happening to me. I don't care about food. My body is rejecting everything. Do you think that a little food or water is going to change anything? Eating will only prolong my suffering. I know that you don't see it that way. You're focused on food because you want me to get better. But I'm not going to get better. You can't get me to live. The more you talk about food, the more I turn away until you know. How can I make you understand that I have no appetite and the thought of eating makes me want to throw up? Are you relating? Are your mothers and fathers relating? Are your sisters and brothers relating? You bet they are. I feel badly because I know that you are frightened. You want me to eat because you love me. But this is not the kind of love I need from you now. I've had to give up so much control over my life. But I can still decide if I want to eat or not. Please try to understand that this is one of the few choices I still have left. This is my wish, and I want you to respect it. I continued to tell this woman he knew that he wanted to die, and nothing I said or did could get him to eat. Eventually, he was too weak to eat and needed the energy just to breathe. It was agony for me. She said, I never thought much about the expression, do you live to eat or eat to live, until now. She said, I never thought much about the expression, do you live to eat? Yeah, many people do. Or do you eat to live or she said, do you live to eat or eat to live? She never thought about it that way. She never thought about the expression, do you live to eat or do you eat to live, until now. I know that I did everything I could. Thank you for your kindness and understanding. Good night. She gave me a hug and walked back towards the room. People do not give hospice enough credit. Please, if you have anything in your hospice heart, take them into your life and into your heart, and they do such great work. I'm just digressing for a moment because we're okay on time. The food and nutrition issue is very complex because of the many factors involved. It's the most difficult and stressful issue that a family member will face during this time. During this time, people will say and do anything to get their loved one to eat. Since food is associated with life, when the patient refuses nourishment, it's a painful reminder that their loved one is dying, or I'll say transitioning. The family can exhibit feelings of rejection, frustration, sadness, anger, hate, guilt, and fear. I probably experienced them all within a few minutes toward the end. It's a lot. It's a painful reminder that their loved one is transitioning. The family can exhibit feelings of rejection, frustration, sadness, anger, hate, guilt, and fear. I don't think you could put all those into a title of a book. The patient and the family are frustrated, and everyone is tense, anxious, and emotionally exhausted. Long-term illnesses. Unfortunately, the patient and the family have different reasons for their conflict. Food is also associated with health and well-being. The patient's loss of appetite and weight points out how tired their body is from the disease. It's ironic that the patient does not see their loss of appetite and weight as an issue. Their body is shutting down and letting go. Hi, Andy. Many times the person does not feel like they have given up. Nope. Though the family may perceive this as a sign that their loved one has. What the body is saying is that it needs to save its energy for other things. The body doesn't require as much food and water to maintain itself. It is equipped to handle and adjust to the gradual slowing down of its functions. Don't I sound like a doctor? Oh, I hope there's a doctor watching. How about having me speak before your groups? Here we go. We're still good. Many times the person does not feel that they have given up, though the family may perceive that this is a sign that their loved one has. When the body is saying it needs to save its energy for other things, the body doesn't require as much food or water to maintain itself. It is equipped to handle and adjust to the gradual slowing down of its functions. The body is preparing themselves for the transitioning process, and they are giving themselves permission to pass. As the patient's requirements of food and water decrease, it is important that you let them let them tell you what they want. Let them tell you. Let the patient tell you. As the patient requirements of food and water decrease, it is important that you let them tell you what they want. It is their choice, and you should accept and respect their wishes. This will not be an easy thing to do, but no amount of guilt, manipulation, threats, or crying will change the outcome. You are saddened because you are losing them. However, the more you try to interfere with the dying process, the harder it becomes. When the end is near, hear me clear. When the end is near, the greatest gift you can give your loved one is to allow them to die comfortably. That's the way they wanted it to be. I hope I respected your wishes. I'll say so long for a little while. When the end is near, the greatest gift you can give your loved one is to allow them to pass comfortably. That's the way they wanted it. You should respect their wishes. I'll say so long for a little while. I love you, Susan. I will not get... Oh, good, I'm crying. Put these on. Okay, hospice home. I will not get into the medical aspects of this because I am not a doctor. Though married to a psychologist. Nope. Been through a lot of death and dying in my life and seen it. Not a doctor. Can't tell you what the body's going through. But the more you try to force it, interfere with it, change it, you won't. When the time has come, it's come. I sat by and watched a magnificent man get ravaged by AIDS in 1994. Went into hospice work a year later. And why these 24 stories? And they may bring tears to your eyes, but why they are a guidebook and a handbook and a notebook is because you will go through something like this, or a neighbor, or a friend, or a husband, or a wife, or a mother, or a son, or a daughter. I can make up stories. I am good at it. I thrive on making up. I'm not going to say I lie. That's a little strong, though I've been known to stretch the truth. I am a great storyteller. I admit it. I am. I've been good since I've been a kid. I could make you believe anything I wanted you to believe. But I can't make up these stories. This is not Stephen King or John Grisham or Tom Clancy or anyone. I'm just a little lady who writes stories about life. I can't do it now. I'm not there. but I can read them. And when I read my stories, these are my words. All these years later, I know my stories. I know my words. I see these people. I feel them. So, how's that for a wonderful Monday afternoon? Not bad. I am getting very tan now. I think if I saw myself on a 17-inch monitor, I probably would head to the nearest plastic surgeon and have my face lifted. Oh, it's hard enough just looking at myself in my phone. I think that's why I don't go to my iPad or get a laptop. I don't want to look at myself. All right. I think this has been a wonderful read. Chapter 12. We'll do chapter 13 tomorrow. Yes, Saturdays and Sundays. I'm so glad I'm off. I tell you, I need a break from me. But I do get a chance to get caught up on my Facebook posts. I think all my stories are supposed to be on my website, SusanMintz.com, and several people have said, how do I get your book? Duh. You can go to my website, or you can call your local Barnes & Noble and be told, we don't have that in stock. Of course you don't have it in stock, yet. Well, you will one day. I'll be on the center aisle. But you can go to my website and you can order them on Barnes & Noble, you can order them on Amazon, you can get them through my publisher. So ordering, and so my website lady said they would be done today. I haven't heard from her. And they'll, of course, they're on my YouTube channel, which nobody goes to either. So I am the most famous person in my own head that nobody knows about. Except you at the other end. You people who watch and listen and send comments and care. Hi, Sharon. And those of you who go back and read through my book from day one, April 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 8th. You go back and you read from my book. Yeah, it's good. I'm giving you a lot of information you're not going to get anywhere else, all in one place. I am your 7-Eleven, 24/7 open. May not have every item, but I'm there when you need something. God bless you all. I had to play me back Saturday and Sunday because I missed me. So I went back and I listened to some of the most tragic episodes. Oh, Sharon says both she and her husband are on today. Yay! Thank you all so much. I'm not even going to tell you what chapter 13 is. Oh, 2 tissues. Anyway, I always put a little hope in there, a little positive spin, and that's a gift also. How do you take something serious and try to still lighten it up? God bless you all. Shalom, hello. Shalom, goodbye, and shalom, peace. Don't turn on the television. There's no peace on the television. But, of course, you're going to turn the TV on. Oh, Lucy, too. Oh, my God. This is the most I think I've ever seen. So that's the story. I say shalom, hello, goodbye, and peace. Be kind. Be more patient. Oh, I've been so good this weekend with a few people. I really have. I've been so good. Thank you, God, for giving me a little more patience. A little bit at a time. And call someone and tell them you care. Okay? That's it for today. It was a good day. I appreciate all of you. And I know that some of you truly have been through it, are going through it, or will go through it. Let the process happen and play itself out. And trust God for everything while it's going on, trust God for everything. But don't force anybody to do anything toward the end. It won't work. Bye. Shalom. Let me hit finish.